I'm Vance Bastion here today without my co host. He's under the weather. S.A. Baz Collins, our heart goes out to you. We hope you feel better soon. This is Written on the Edge, Season 9, Episode 5 interview. We'll be talking with Lee Pulaski. By we, I mean I, the royal we, and discussing not only his latest works, but some of the stuff he's got upcoming. So, if you haven't met him before, let's get to know our guest. Living in the real world was never a long-term plan for Lee Pulaski. He spent many a day imagining bold adventures and playing them out in the quiet countryside of Chino Valley, Arizona. Lee was first published in high school for writing about the news and telling compelling feature stories about people. And while he's still a working journalist today, his excitement for writing mystery, romance, and fantasy inspired him to write his first novel in 2006 after a particularly breathtaking autumn. And we've covered that many times in the past. So instead of making you repeat your history one more time, I'm going to tell people go listen to your previous interviews and let us know what you've been up to in the last year instead.
My goodness, yeah, it's been a busy year for me, writing wise.
It
I just
has.
completed in September. I put out a new book based on my hometown of Chino Valley, Arizona, called Heartsong of the Lonesome Road, and that one kind of did a reverse of my journey. I had lived in Arizona and moved to Wisconsin, but my main character, Ethan Wolf, he started out his journalism career in Wisconsin, got into a little bit of trouble, and wound up having to look elsewhere for a job. And the only place available was in Arizona. So he's having to go from the beautiful, lush North Woods out into the desert, and he's feeling a little deflated because I mean he's done so well with his life and his career. He had a boyfriend and everything, and then things just fell apart. So he's having to rebuild his life in Arizona, and he meets this Navajo man named Neshoba. He runs a bar there in Chino Valley called the Spectrum Saloon, and it also includes drag queen performances and stuff like that. But Neshoba is looking forward to someday being a songwriter, and he finds out about the songwriting contest, and he's been trying to craft this song for years, but it's only through the arrival of Ethan that he's finally able to find his passion, be able to find a way to basically uh, basically complete the song
Mhm.
and be able to enter the contest. Does he win? Does he lose? We'll
Dun
find out.
dun dun dun. No spoilers, please. So, would you classify this as a romance, contemporary fiction?
This one's definitely a romance
Okay.
because in the process of Ethan trying to pick up pieces of his life and Nishoba moving on to becoming a songwriter and everything, they fall in love with each other, and obviously passion ensues. And unfortunately, there are difficulties along the way. Besides some of the obvious ones, Nishoba's got a brother who's an alcoholic and has been kind of the thorn in Nishoba's side for years. But finally, the brother decides, okay, I'm finally ready to get help. And so Nishoba takes his brother to rehab, and then it turns out that this rehab place not is not really a rehab place, and sends Nishoba's brother out into the streets where he becomes missing, and Nishoba has to leave Chino Valley to go searching for him. So that kind of puts a rift in the relationship for a bit.
But in every good romance, every relationship has a struggle.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So,
And yeah, having your brother disappear is definitely a struggle. I mean, you fall in love with someone, but you also got family, and no matter how obnoxious they are sometimes, you
mhm.
still love them and you'd still do anything for them.
So I know you also write mysteries. How much of this story is a mystery?
Not a whole lot.
Okay.
In this one I tried to keep mostly in as a romance because I've got other mysteries out there, and in fact, another book I came out with this year was a mystery. But as far as Heartsong, The Lonesome Road, I definitely wanted to make this another romance and incorporate things from Chino Valley. And I
Hmm.
mean, there were a few things that came up over the course of the book, kind of news items that made things interesting. Like, for example, making a part of Chino Valley where it was the first territorial capital of Arizona, turned
Hmm.
that into a state park.
Neat.
And also there was a javelina that forced the school to go into lockdown. I mean, normally when you think of school lockdowns, you think somebody's made a threat against the campus or something. But no, you got this wild pig
Hmm.
going through the campus, and unfortunately, javelinas have very horrible eyesight. So if they're spooked, they'll strike out. So they wanted to keep the kids safe, keep them locked down until Game and Fish was able to get them off the get the pig off the campus.
Did that make it into your book?
Yes, it did. Yes, it did.
Oh,
Yeah,
I need.
that was one of the things that Ethan, my journalist character, covered.
I will have to.
And let me see, what were some other
I was
things?
just gonna say
Oh
I'm gonna have
gosh.
to put that in front of my husband now. He has a fascination with javelinas, mostly because he's never seen one in person.
Oh, okay.
He's only
So,
ever heard of them, and he has this fascination with javelinas and chupacabras. So,
oh, I wonder if you could turn a javelina into a chupacabra. That'd be kind of interesting.
I mean, you already played at the Hodag. Folklore is yours,
Oh, that could be fun.
right?
But also another interesting thing about Chino Valley that I incorporated. I mean, normally when you think of Chino Valley, you think about a country area, even though it's rapidly becoming cityfied.
Hmm.
But one of the things that went up just east of Chino Valley was a Buddhist sanctuary.
Oh, cool.
And so I had Ethan, as he's trying to come to terms with his new life, go out to the Buddhist sanctuary, meditate, learn a few things about the fact that yeah, he's down, but he's not out. He can pick himself back up and become the person that he wants to be again.
Nice. So I also have to ask on behalf of my co-host, did you go into Neshoba's Navajo side at all, or
Yes, I did actually.
nice?
In fact, the Shoba teaches Ethan quite a few Navajo words.
Cool.
And one of the interesting things when I kind of did my research, I mean, I know about the Navajo culture and everything, but I still did some research to keep things up. One of the things I discovered was there is no Navajo word for love specifically.
Really?
And I mean, there's Navajo words for admiration, adoration, that sort of thing, but specifically for love, there wasn't a word.
Huh.
So that was something that Ethan learned about as he was getting closer to Neshoba.
Interesting. All right. Is there anything else about Heart Song of the Lonesome Road that you want people to know that I didn't think to ask?
Oh, one of the challenges for me was writing the song, because I mean, even though I write books for a living, I don't typically write songs to go along with them. So uh, I I dabble in poetry, but I don't necessarily do it full time.
Uh-huh.
So being able to make words rhyme, put them in a song form and stuff. That was a bit of a challenge for me, but I was ultimately able to figure it out and get it in there. And
Have you found
who
someone?
knows? Maybe when I do some readings for this, I might actually sing it. So
I was about to ask if you found someone to put it to music yet.
no, no, I haven't yet. Then that'd be an interesting thing to do. It's something I should probably pursue. But I mean, at, as far as the song, I mean, it can probably the reader can probably put it to any beat that they want to. I mean, my fiance's already put it into his own and slow beat and everything, and
Nice.
I'm like, well, that's not quite the way I had it, but it's nice.
Aw. All right. Moving on to the tragic tale of Tabby and Henny. You did another script flip there.
Yes, I did. Um, Tabby and Henny run a cat sanctuary and raise chickens for eggs and everything. Now, normally you would think having a name like Tabby, That one would be the one running the cat sanctuary. Well, Tabby's the one actually raising the chickens, and Henny's the one raising handling the cats and rehabilitating them and everything. So their full names are Tabitha and Henrietta, but obviously they're Tabby and Henny for short.
Sure.
And their parents have died recently, and they've got this farm, and they're getting along great, except for their family members. Yeah, those family members that I mentioned earlier, that these ones, you have a hard time loving them because they want the farm for their own selfish purposes. They've got
Mm,
an aunt that wants to grow cherries on the farm, and they've got this one brother that is actually cooking up crystal meth,
oh my
and then you
God.
got a cousin who's got his own cows, but he's a loser as well, and they want the land instead of letting Tabby and Henny live happily ever after. And just when they get them away from the farm and everything, Tabby and Henny go out on their UTV to pick up some feed supplies, and it explodes. Boom! Someone has set a bomb on it, and what makes it even uh, more bizarre is that the bomb was put together with a compound that's normally used in military operations called HMX.
Okay.
So obviously, our suspect has ties to the military or has been in the military. And so my main character, Zachary Gagewood, who's a bookstore owner,
Hmm.
he has to figure out who's the one that planted the bomb, who's the one that has the experience, the know-how to make this bomb.
Now, this is Zachary's 14th novel?
No, it's his 11th
11th. I'm
actually.
sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, and that's quite all right. If I kept up with the schedule, I probably would be on the 14th by now. But I took a couple years off when COVID hit to focus on other
Pandemic.
projects. Yeah.
Crazy pandemic. Um, so how does he know Tabby and Henny, or how did he know Tabby and Henny?
Well, they come to the feed store, which is operated by his husband Newell, and Newell and Zachary go out there to deliver some supplies one afternoon, and that's when they start talking about the cat sanctuary and raising the chickens and the problems with the family and everything. And
Hmm.
one by one, the family members come out and wreak their own sort of havoc, and it it's just they provide a way to kind of uplift things following the pandemic. This is taking place like in the latter part of the pandemic,
Okay.
and most places have lifted their restrictions by this point. And unfortunately, uh, the village board chairman in Gresham has decided to keep things closed, including a lot of the businesses, including the bookstore, which prompts some of the townspeople to get up and say, you know what, we're not going to do that, and we're not going to do this anymore. We're not going to stay shut down. We're not going to do just the curbside service. We want to be back with the people again. Everywhere else is open, is free. You can take your mask off and everything, but not here. And just because you're afraid of something that's no longer a threat doesn't mean that the rest of us have to be. That's
Eh,
kind of the point of the book.
understood. And public service announcement: COVID spikes are back up again. Please consider wearing your mask when you go out shopping.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
We're not advocating throwing your masks away. It was merely for the plot.
No, no, no. This was after the restrictions were lifted.
Right.
Then the point is, while you don't want to spread the disease, you also don't want to be hiding in a corner after it's left.
Hmm. Right. So I know it's a mystery. I don't want to spoil it. Let me ask it this way: are the family members fun red herrings, or are they just background comedy?
Some of them are background
Okay.
and actually all of them are pretty much background comedy.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, the way there's one chapter where one of them's trying to break into the farmhouse while Zachary's trying to investigate, looking for clues and stuff. And Zachary has to hide in this crawl space, and he can hear this guy downstairs with his buddies, and you hear the guy being like, "Don't be an idiot," and that's not gonna. We're not gonna find that there, and slapping themselves around. And Zachary's up here thinking, "Oh my God, I'm trapped up here with a bunch of hillbilly idiots downstairs wreaking havoc."
Nice. All right. And again, it's a mystery. I don't want to spoil it, so let me ask it this way. Is there anything else you want folks to know about it that we haven't discussed?
Oh, let me see. Yeah, one thing that I do address in this book is dealing with depression, dealing with the loss of a pet.
Hmm.
Part of the reason I stopped writing the mysteries 3 years ago was because I'd lost my dog, and Zachary had a dog in the book too, had the same name too, Toby,
Oh.
and so in this book, he's lost his pet. In the beginning, he's feeling like he doesn't want to do anything, go anywhere. He doesn't want to live his life, and is kind of pushed back into it. And one of the things that he talks about with one of his coworkers and his friends is that he contemplated for a brief moment taking his own life because he felt like he didn't want to live it anymore. And I mean, a lot of times people have suicidal thoughts for brief moments, but even when they're there, you've got to address them.
Hmm.
So, that tends to be one of the more serious topics I talk about in the tragic tale of Tabby and Henny. But overall, it's a fun and humorous romp trying to find out who done it.
Nice. I love whodunits. They're the best. All right, so the two we've just discussed are both out now and selling. People can get to them from Amazon. They can go to your website. But you've got a couple projects in the pipeline that we should talk about too.
Oh, I wish it was just a couple. Let's see. I've got the next book in the mystery series that I've started on called America's Forgotten Roses.
Hmm.
And this one kind of keeps on with the military theme. One of my characters has served in Iraq and Afghanistan and has been dealing with PTSD and dealing with the issues of the VA taking their sweet time to give him treatment and stuff. And so now that he's on the road to recovery, he's wanting to help other veterans to do that as well. And so he started this group to try to help them with counseling, with service projects, that sort of thing, integrate them back into civilian life. And unfortunately, one of them is killed along the way, and we've got to figure out who killed this person and why. Was it one of the other veterans? Was it someone else with some particular issues against this person? That sort of thing. That's one of the projects I'm working on. The next one is an interesting one called Miss Phoenix Goes Deliciously Mad.
I saw that one. I smiled so big, you have no idea.
Yes. I'm sure when people see the cover, they're going to get a kick out of it too. But this one goes back to Chino Valley, Arizona, and my main character, who goes by the stage name of Miss Phoenix, is leaving Florida, not only because of the anti-LGBTQ laws that have permeated the state, but also because of an abusive boyfriend,
Mm.
and plans to get a new start in California. Well, get to Arizona, the box truck he's in breaks down, and he needs to uh, get back up and running again. And the only one that can help him is a guy who's a pig farmer and his daughter and all that. And that's going to be an interesting one as Miss Phoenix tries to figure out how to rise from the ashes again.
I love it.
Yeah. And then I've got one that I'm just getting started on called Roses in the Snow. My main characters find this old chest and when they open it up, it sucks them into this world where it's wintertime in the world, it's snow on the ground and everything, but the roses are in full bloom to make it beautiful. Well, there's this evil spirit that's trying to destroy all that, and they have to figure out how to keep the world from coming to an end.
Dun dun dun.
And then
That's
I've
that.
got
I was gonna say
oh
that's pretty fantasy for most of what you write, isn't it?
yeah, yeah. It's kind of similar into the vein of what I wrote a few years ago called Hex of the Dragon Fruit,
Okay.
and where I had a character who was living in Baltimore, but somehow created this portal on his own that sent him to into a world where there are dragons and everything, but the dragons are all asleep because the fruit that they consume
Mm,
is disappearing.
okay.
But I wanted to try and tackle something like that again. Hex of the Dragon Fruit was one of my better ones, one of my longer ones,
Hmm.
and I wanted to be able to to create another world of complete fantasy. I mean, as much fun as it is fictionalizing real world places and stuff, it's when you can create the whole world on your own that it's really, really fun.
Yep. That's also why books get longer, though. You have to explain more.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
You have to show more. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Was there one more on our list? Stories from over the
Oh
rainbow.
yes.
Yes.
Yes. I'm also in the middle of an anthology of short stories. When I first started my writing career, in addition to the first couple of novels, I also wrote some short stories that were published through online publishing company. And a couple years ago, I got to thinking, well, what if I took these? What if I wrote some more short stories and put them together into an anthology? And this is going to be called Stories from Over the Rainbow or Fables from the Other Side of the Rainbow. I'm still kind of working on the title on that. But one of the short stories that wrote that I've written recently involves a lesbian whose grandfather has died, and she's tasked with having to sort through her late grandfather's items and stuff. And in the process, she finds letters to a man. And now grandpa was married to grandma and everything and was happy and was supposedly happy for 50 years and everything. But
Hmm.
these letters written to a man back in the 1960s. And she learns in the process that, well, maybe grandpa wasn't able to be out and proud, but that's not going to stop her from having the opportunity to be happy with the woman that she loves.
That's cool. Very cool. So
Yes.
a collection of short stories like that, huh?
Yeah, yeah. I thought it'd be interesting to get and give folks different tastes and stuff. It's kind of like a buffet. You
Hmm.
like take a little of this, take a little of that, have a
Perfect.
Christmas story, a Valentine's Day story, that sort of thing.
Oh, there you go. Write an anthology that's a story for each month.
Yeah.
All right, I need to stop giving. I need to stop giving you ideas. You've got
I
a lot
know,
on
I
your
know. I've already
plate.
got so many projects in the air and stuff. I'm gonna drop something if you suggest anything
I'll
more.
stop.
Okay.
Anything else?
Oh gosh. Oh yes. And there's also a play that I'm putting together based on
Oh
fairy tale
yeah.
characters. Years ago, I did another one called Grandma's House of Waffles that did and had Little Red Riding Hood and her grandmother running this Waffle House and having to get it back from the big bad wolf. Well, this one is called Rose Red and the Forgotten Fables. Well, Rose Red is a radio show host that is telling the stories about some of the lesser known fairy tales that are out there.
Hmm.
And then these fairy tale characters start disappearing. And so she's got to figure out, why are they disappearing? How can we get them back? What's going to happen to our world if these people go away and are forgotten?
Hmm. Nice.
So
Very nice. All right. Are you ready for this year's Get to Know You questions?
Sure, sure.
All right,
Lay them on me.
what's your favorite writing snack or drink?
Well, I I can eat a variety of things, but I think the best thing that I like to enjoy while I'm working on a manuscript is peanut butter cookies. For some reason, just the nice peanut buttery taste of it just kind of gets those juices flowing.
Nice. All right, what books did you grow up reading?
Let's see. A lot of them were Agatha Christie novels. There were some books that were kind of paranormal in origin. In fact, one of the books that I read was The House with a Clock and with a Clock at its Walls, which
Mm-hmm.
they made into a movie with Jack Black and everything.
Yeah.
And I read the first three books of that series, and just recently I found out they actually wrote a whole lot more, but I only knew about the first three.
Oh,
So
that,
so who knows? I might actually go back and see if I can find some of those.
that's cool. All right, who has been the biggest supporter of your writing?
Oh, I would have to say it's my fiance Todd. He's constantly excited when I tell him I wrote a chapter today or I wrote a couple pages today. He's so excited, and in fact, sometimes he's overexcited. And it's kind of like, "Are you done with the book yet?" And it's kind of like, "Well, no, no, not yet. I've only written two chapters. I can only type out so many words."
Isn't that wonderful when you have someone in your life who's constantly saying, next book, chop chop? All right,
Yes.
are you a morning person or a night owl?
You know what's interesting? In Arizona, I was pretty much a night owl, but for some reason, when I moved to Wisconsin, I became more and more of a morning person. I think probably because in the summer months, you've got the sun coming up before 5 o'clock in the morning. So it became kind of natural for me to wake up at 4 o'clock and and focus on the world because I'm not gonna be able to fall asleep with the sun shining through the window in my eye.
Right. All right, what's your favorite hobby outside of writing?
My favorite hobby outside of writing, that would be photography. I mean, I
Oh,
enjoy going out, getting pictures of scenery and stuff. I mean, some of the photos have wound up being covers for my books and stuff in some form or fashion. And I mean, when I'm not able to work on the words, then I go out and get pictures, which, as you know, are worth 1,000 words.
mm-hmm. Beautiful.
Unfortunately, they don't always translate into writing for the book, but it kind of helps with the process.
Do you, I know this isn't on our list, but do you mood board your pictures as you're writing a story? So you have something to look up and, oh yeah, spark, spark, spark.
No, not necessarily.
Okay.
A lot of times I'm looking at the cover, and a lot of times I create the covers before
Mm-hmm.
and before I fully flesh out the story and use that as a focal point. But as far as like multiple pictures to kind of give me inspiration of
Mm-hmm.
where to go, no, I don't really do that.
Okay. Just curious. I'm more of a playlist guy, so I have a playlist for each book that I'm working on, and when I'm in the mood, that's what I listen to.
Hmm.
Has writing and publishing a book changed the way you see yourself?
Well, let me see.
I mean, you
Um,
started journalism pretty early, so.
yeah, yeah. I mean, I started journalism when I was a teenager. Went to college for it. Started out at the hometown paper, that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, writing books has changed me in a way that I'm able to be a little more optimistic about the world, even when you see a lot of dark and unpleasant things, which you tend to see a lot of as a journalist.
Mm-hmm.
But being able to escape into those worlds, to be able to create new worlds, and obviously, as I've written the first book, it's snowballed into more and more ideas, and I just gave you five projects that I'm working on. So
Yep.
that I've never had that many projects that I'm working on at once. So being able to expand and being able to do more, to create more, it's just been very uplifting.
That's awesome. So if you were to write a spin-off about a side character, which one would you pick?
Oh goodness. Yeah, I've had to think about this one. I mean, with Heartsong on the Lonesome Road, I was able to incorporate some of the characters that I'd first written about in White Christmas in the Desert as side characters and stuff. But let's see, side character. I think probably the side characters I'd want to write a story on if I ever came up with the idea come from the Zachary Gagewood mysteries. Um, I've got this couple, Christopher and Trey, that run this fry bread truck, and might be interesting to look into their lives full time when there's not a mystery afoot and find out how they live their lives and what's going on in their circle.
Right. Okay. So I know you've written about places you've lived. Have you ever traveled as research for a book?
As research for the book, not really, but when I traveled to Eagle River, Wisconsin, that kind of provided the inspiration for me to write my first couple of books. So might be nice to actually travel and do some research.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows? I've been thinking about going back to Arizona this year and show Todd where I lived and everything. So maybe we might go to some other places and see if some other ideas spring up.
Nice. All right. Final question. How do you celebrate when you finish a book?
Let's see. Well, at the rate I go, I usually celebrate by falling asleep.
Oh,
after 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 that, I try to go out to dinner with Todd
nice.
or do something. Just being able to finish that last word and sit back and be like, okay, first draft is done. Let's take a breather. Let's celebrate the achievement, and then usually it's back to work editing.
Mm-hmm. Right. Bravo. You made it through the list.
Excellent. I never know if I'm able to make it through the lists, but somehow I've done it every time.
You have. Gold star for you. All right. So I know we've talked about your upcoming works. And I know last summer you did some in-person events. Are you looking at any in-person events this coming year?
I don't have anything set in stone right now, mainly because it's the winter time and
I
nobody
know.
wants to go out and about.
I know.
But I plan to hopefully go back to Open Door Pride in Door County, Wisconsin.
Nice.
Their celebration is the 22nd of June, I believe. I'll have to double check the date, but it's the fourth Saturday of the month. And then I thought I'd go to Appleton, Wisconsin for their Pride Festival, which is actually on the fifth Saturday of the month. So I'm hoping to get involved with those.
Nice.
Just waiting for them to start opening up the vendor applications and just go from there.
All right. Well, where is the best place for people to watch for you to announce where you'll be?
Let's see. Usually the best place is on my author page on Facebook. It's Lee Pulaski, author. And of course, I've got my website, www.leepulaski.com, which has summaries of all the books and stuff and links for you to purchase them.
Perfect.
But I also try to, when I can, make announcements about what I'm doing, when I'm doing it, that sort of thing. And of course, it's got copies of all the Rote podcast interviews that I've done. So if you want to see more of Vance interviewing me and everything, I mean, that's the place to go.
Perfect. Perfect. All right. Any final words of wisdom?
Oh, let's see. Well, they say that the Lord doesn't give you more than you can handle. But in this case, I've got 5 projects that I'm juggling. So it's going to be interesting to see how I handle them. So it's going to be one bite of the elephant at a time. And we'll just have to see what comes out first.
Well, I think you got this. I have faith in you.
Well, thank you.
Yeah. And we'd like to extend a huge thank you to you, Lee Pulaski, for joining us. Thank you so much.
Oh, I was glad to be here. It was unfortunate that Baz couldn't join us, but just to verify, it wasn't my books that made him sick.
No. No, I think he handled that one all on his own.
Yeah.
All right, folks, we at Written on the Edge are proud to introduce you to new media by queer content creators. So if you enjoy learning about new artists or hearing our thoughts on entertainment media, please like and subscribe so you get the alerts for new episodes. We've added a lot of entertainment reactions to our YouTube channel, Baz and Albert, specifically Baz shepherding Albert through queer media. It's kind of hilarious to watch the young man see this stuff for the first time. Go check it out. Follow us here. Pick up Lee's books. Please, please, please find one of his threads and follow it because they're really good storytelling. The show is produced by Rogue Ravens Media. For our disclaimers, links to social media, our listen stations, or to sign up as a guest, visit www.roguepodcast.com. Tune in next week for your queer media fix.
Oh, what's that? Closing time. The bums rush in melody, dear.